Andrea here. Um, this game was pretty interesting, so I decided I was gonna show you guys. I'm gonna try to talk a little bit louder this time. Although I'm not sure how loud I can talk because it's 6 a.m. right now, and I kind of don't want to wake up the other people in the house. All right, so it's the mayor. I go first. Um, To be honest, I'm kind of undecided as to whether or not I enjoy going first in this matchup because obviously if you get like a good like starting hand, like for example if you draw like if you have like a 2 to 5 curve or whatever, it makes your opponent have to like react into it, and you get like initiative on stuff, which is kind of nice. Um, right, so right here I play the Lyriel over the Oracle because, as I said, I I want the initiative, and I want to punish him if he gets turned to Oracle. He does. I go ahead and continue developing. Go ahead and swing with Lyriel. Yeah, go ahead and swing with Lyriel. Get 2 damage him, which is nice. And he plays Rahab, which is really fortunate for me that I drew Blazing Breath. Although I would have much preferred to have drawn Salamander, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. All right, so I go ahead and double trade. It's now his turn. Oh, sorry, he's now in 5 mana, so he can forever if he wants to. He chooses to do so, which is unfortunate for me. But I draw my own forever, and I'm still in the game. Now, ordinarily, I usually advise people to Evo here, but but I don't this game because like my Grimnir is already injured, so like it'll still die to a Breath of the Salamander, which he does in fact have. So that would have been like really bad for me. But he has ramp quite a bit. So here I go ahead and Oracle. I play a second Oracle instead of doing anything else because I already have the Polyroar in my hand, and I wanna pressure him into thinking that I'm gonna Bahamut his play anyway. But he doesn't play it. But he does play Puce Worm, and at which point I get like very confused. However, um, going to play Polyroar because like one of the things that you need to know in the you need to know versus Dragon at the most can usually only do like 17 damage to you. So as long as you're a full, you don't need to worry. He only has 7 damage on board, so in his case, he's going to do 16 to me at most with Genesis Evo. If he had had Genesis, I would have lost on the spot. However, because he played the Peace Storm, that kind of I kind of lulled me and made me think that okay, he probably doesn't have Genesis. All right, so here he drops me to 8. He does. Let me again pause here. He did misplay a little bit. He was 100% supposed to evolve. Supposed to yeah, supposed to evolve the scholar. The reason why he's supposed to evolve the scholar is because like if for example I have Israfel, or for example if I have like some kind of like crazy um Breath of the Salamander type clear, yeah, in conjunction with Dragonite Scyther, I can go ahead and clear his entire board. Granted, it'll take my entire turn to do so, but I can still clear his entire board for relatively next to nothing. Um, but yeah, so I already have the Polyron on the board. I do draw Bahamut. Now, a lot of people would think that, okay, well, this is really good Bahamut board, but that's not true. The reason why that's not true is because I've already committed to the okay. This is gonna be a poly game. So like if I were to self remove it myself, so if I were to if I were to remove it myself, that would be bad for me for 2 reasons. One, I took a dead turn to do so. Two, I'm committing a Bahamut before he has to commit a Bahamut, and I'm most likely going to have and I'm most likely going to need to Evo if he Bahamuts me anyway with my Oro. And I just don't want to do that. So it's really fortunate for me that I drew Israfil because, as you'll see, the Israfil is gonna give me a full clear, provided I trade in my one Blessed Dragon. Sorry about that. The other important thing that it's going to heal me out of Genesis Eva range. So now, even if he does have the Genesis, I won't immediately die to it. So I go ahead and full clear the board here. Now, the other important thing is that the Poliwrath is still on the board, so he still has to want to remove it. And the only ways he can remove it is with Lightning Blast, Odin, or Bahamut. Uh, I've said this before, but but um but yeah, but Banish effects and Dragon aren't really as good as people hype them out. Yeah, aren't really as good as people hype them out to be. But that'll be a topic for a later video. All right. So I go ahead and trade into the aura. The reason why I do this is because I don't want to use my last Evo point, and I also have to heal because I have to respect Genesis Evo. So I go ahead and temper out, play Raha, play Sybil. The reason why I do this is is because this way Sybil is behind a ward and she can threaten to heal me multiple times. So he has to commit multiple cards into clearing this. However, he instead decides to reping my face for no apparent reason, so I can play Dragon Need Scholar. And at this point, he's more or less told me, okay, I do not have Bahamut. Uh, this Poliwrath is going to be on the board. Now, the Poliwrath is really bad for him, especially because my Sybil survived. Because now every turn the Sybil's just gonna keep healing me and healing me. It's just gonna heal me out of range. Like, and he's still in a bad spot because now we're down to both one Evo each. Like, however, I have three cards. Yeah. However, I have three monsters on board as Dragon. Like that. Like the only times when that happens is if I'm aggro or if you've just flat out lost. In his case, he's flat out lost. And we're gonna see a concede here really quickly. Once he realizes that next turn a Wind Blast Dragon is gonna come out for free, and there's nothing you can do about it. All right. Something that I was asked to do recently was to go ahead and show deck list. So let me go ahead and show my deck list. All right. This is the version of Ram Dragon I tend to use on ladder. It's pretty standard for the most part. I think the only questionable things is Poly, but I've already talked about that before. And then the other kind of questionable thing is, well, sorry, and then the other thing that I get asked about a lot is why Liriel. The reason why you play Liriel is because Liriel is quite literally the best two drop that Dragon has at the moment. Or sorry, that Dragon slash most classes actually have at the moment. The reason why it's really good is because one damage pings are overrated, they're underrated. My bad. And you'd be surprised at how often people either do not have a choice to, or just sometimes forget and play into certain things and leave their minions at 1 HP. Like for example, if you Geno into a Grimnir or whatever behind a ward, most times that play would just like win you the game on the spot. However, with Liriel, that's not the case because Liriel will quite literally just Evo kill the Geno for free and then get a value trade into the ward that was protecting it. Like it's just a really strong tempo play that's that's very cheap and you can like combo with other things. For Wrath Drakes are really good because Wrath Drake is basically a Grimnir that doesn't hit face and that costs less mana to play. Well, that costs less mana to play for its enhance. A really important thing that a lot of people forget is that the Wrath Drake does 3 damage on enhance. At 3 damage, you can clear Tsubaki and you can more importantly clear Death's Breath. Clearing Death's Breath as Dragon is really important because you usually tend to use your Grimnirs early in the game, and you really want to have AoE for after you inevitably Baha them in the Shadow matchup, so sadly you're not like stonewalled by the dust breath, and they don't get to get a free Ektar for massive damage to you. I think the last thing is why Zeus. Um, quite a few times, I I've been a pretty huge proponent of no Zeus, and just use Genesis over Zeus because the 2 damage is actually pretty relevant. There are a lot of like calcs that people like don't really think about. Like for example, if I Genesis Evo Genesis plus Grimnir, that's 20 exact damage. Um, or for example, if I if I were to Genesis Forte, sorry, if I were to Genesis Evo Genesis Forte, that would be 21 damage. Whereas with Zeus that would be 19 damage, unless I had multiple Evos to use on face. Um, and it's just and just most times Genesis is just straight better. However, with Saha, that's sometimes different because sometimes um you have to play Saha on an empty board, and with Zeus, that'll let you go Saha, Zeus, hit their face, maybe Eva hit their face, which is really nice because that sets you up to make to make sneaky two-turn lethals with Genesis if you go Saha, Zeus, Evo, hit them in the face for 7, and then next turn Genesis hit them in the face for 7 more. Um, for 14 to for anywhere from 12 to 16 damage, which is really nice because a lot of people don't play around that. Um, additionally, sometimes that's actually kind of useful in the net matchup because in the net matchup you don't want to leave big things on board because they're just gonna play net and then they're just gonna heal off your big thing. However, sometimes if you can play it well enough, slash you end up in a good situation where they have a lich on the board, you can play the you can do the same play that I just mentioned, which is Saha into Zeus or whatever, and you can ram the Zeus face, and you can evo the Saha into the lich to kill off your Saha and leave them without targets. Uh, just a random heads up thing. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys liked it. Go ahead and leave me some feedback in the comments below. All right, have a great day.